Most handgun cartridges fade out. The .357 Magnum did not. It showed up in 1935 because law enforcement had a real problem. Early body armor was showing up. Car doors mattered. And the handgun rounds of the day were starting to look underpowered for the job. So Elmer Keith, Philip Sharp, and Douglas Wesson helped create an answer. Then Smith & Wesson built the first revolver around it. And here is the part that still tells you how serious that gun was. Even during the Great Depression, Smith & Wesson ended up with a 4-year backlog of orders. 90 years later, the .357 Magnum is still one of the few handgun cartridges that can honestly do a little bit of everything. You can train cheap with .38 Special. You can load full-power Magnum ammunition when you want real authority. You can hunt deer with the right revolver and the right load. And in the hands of a good shooter, with the right gun, this cartridge can still ring steel at 200 yards. That is why this list matters. Because we are not just ranking pretty revolvers. We are ranking the 7 best .357 Magnum revolvers ever made, based on history, documented performance, long-term durability, owner experience, and what these guns actually deliver when they are used. Every revolver on this list earned its place. Every revolver has a weakness. And the #1 pick is going to make some Colt Python fans uncomfortable. Let's get into it. Number 7 is the Dan Wesson Model 15 and Model 715. This is the revolver that gets left off too many lists, and every time that happens, serious revolver, people notice, because they missed one. Daniel Wesson II, grandson of the original Smith & Wesson co-founder, left the family business in 1968 with one goal. He wanted to build the most accurate production revolver in American history. The system he developed was the interchangeable barrel system. The barrel threads into the frame from the front of the cylinder. A separate shroud goes over it. Then a spanner nut at the muzzle tightens the whole assembly down. That puts the barrel under tension from both ends. That tension matters because it cuts down barrel flex. Add in a tight cylinder gap that the owner could set, and you had factory accuracy that other companies could not really match at that price. The Dan Wesson 15-2 became a dominant revolver in metallic silhouette competition through the 1970s and 1980s. Shooters were knocking down steel rams at 200 meters with hand-cast 200-grain bullets out of a .357 Magnum revolver. At that point, nothing else was doing it quite like that. Then there was the pistol pack. Barrel lengths ran from 2.5 inches all the way out to 10 inches in one kit. Same frame, different jobs. That meant one revolver could move from a short barrel field setup to a long barrel silhouette gun without buying a second handgun. That is the real buyer angle here. This gun is for the shooter who cares more about mechanical accuracy and flexibility than brand name shine. For collector shooter, not just a safe collector, that barrel system is the whole reason to care. CZ later acquired the company and discontinued revolver production in 2021. On the used market, examples still show up regularly, usually around $350 to $700, depending on condition and configuration. Now, here is the honest limitation. The double-action trigger is heavier than a Smith & Wesson from the same era. That is the trade-off. You give up some of that classic Smith trigger feel, and what you get back is a serious accuracy advantage. One phrase sums it up. The most accurate production .357 Magnum ever built, and still the most overlooked. Number 6 is the Ruger GP100. There is a reason this revolver shows up on every serious list. It is not hype. It is not nostalgia. It is metallurgy. The GP100 was engineered from the ground up to handle full-power .357 Magnum loads for a very long time. Ruger gave it a solid heavy frame, a triple-locking cylinder, a full underlug barrel, and investment cast internal components with tolerances built to absorb wear without stopping the gun from doing its job. Depending on configuration, it comes as a 6-shot or 7-shot revolver with barrel lengths from 3 inches to 6 inches. This is what the K-frame could have been if Smith & Wesson had put durability ahead of elegance. You feel that when you start feeding it real Magnum ammunition, the gun has mass. It has frame strength. It does not feel delicate, and it is not trying to. That does not make it perfect. The honest trade is size and weight. The GP100 is heavier and chunkier than the Smith & Wesson 686, and most experienced revolver shooters will still give the trigger advantage to the Smith. But Ruger gives you something else. It gives you a revolver that can absorb more punishment without complaint than just about anything else in this price class. That matters if you are the kind of buyer who actually plans to shoot Magnum loads instead of just owning a Magnum revolver. If you want a revolver, you do not have to, baby. This is your lane. Most new examples usually land around $700 to $900, depending on barrel length, finish, and configuration. One phrase says it clean: the tank of production double-action revolvers. Number 5 is the Smith & Wesson Model 686. The L-frame was Smith & Wesson's answer to a problem they could not ignore forever. The K-frame had a ceiling. Heavy Magnum use could speed up wear at the forcing cone, especially over time. So in 1980, Smith brought out the L-frame. It gave shooters a stronger forcing cone, a heavier underlug, and a more robust cylinder crane. That is where the 686 became the modern standard. This is the revolver police qualification instructors recommend. It is the revolver competition shooters run. It is the revolver long-term owners reach for when they want something that can handle whatever they put through it. The 686 is available in 6-shot and 7-shot models. It uses adjustable sights, stainless construction, and barrel lengths from 2.5 inches to 6 inches. The weight of the L-frame matters. That weight is not just there to look serious. After a few cylinders of full-power 357 Magnum, you feel the difference. The gun settles quicker, the sights come back flatter, and you are not fighting it the way you fight a lighter revolver. The single-action trigger is smooth, clean, and predictable. The double action is why so many shooters still trust old-school Smith revolvers on the range and in competition. This is not the rarest revolver on the table, and it is not trying to be. It is the one a lot of serious shooters end up buying because it simply makes sense. If someone asks for one new production 357 Magnum that can handle range work, defensive use in the right legal context, and long-term ownership without getting weird, the 686 is hard to argue against. Current street price usually runs around $850 to $1,100 new, depending on configuration. One phrase tells the story: the modern benchmark. Everything else gets measured against this gun. Number 4 is the Smith & Wesson Model 19. Bill Jordan pushed Smith & Wesson to build this revolver in the mid-1950s. He was a Border Patrol agent and a competitive shooter, and he knew exactly what he wanted. A duty revolver light enough to carry all day, accurate enough to shoot against anybody. For about 2 decades, the Model 19 was the benchmark. 6 shots, adjustable sights, blued finish. Barrel lengths from 2.5 inches to 6 inches. The balance of a Model 19 is something you understand as soon as it settles into your hand. It feels like a duty gun from an era when men actually had to wear these things all day. It is not oversized. It is not clumsy. It points naturally, carries well, and still gives you real 357 Magnum capability. The K-frame single-action trigger is famously crisp. In double action, it is smooth enough for fast, accurate strings when the shooter does their part, but the limitation matters. A steady, heavy diet of full-power Magnum loads can accelerate forcing cone wear over time. That does not mean the Model 19 is fragile. It means you should understand what it is. A shooter running a reasonable mix of 38, Special, and 357 Magnum will likely never run into that problem. The mistake is treating it like a Ruger GP100. This is the revolver for the shooter who values balance. Carry comfort and trigger feel more than endless full-power abuse. Used market values usually run from $900 to $1,400. Pinned barrel, recessed cylinder examples bring the top end of that range. One phrase fits: the revolver that defined what a 357 Magnum should feel like. Number 3 is the Colt Python. The Python first appeared in 1955, and it came out of the factory with a level of hand fitting that no other American production revolver was getting. The action was stoned and tuned before it left Connecticut. The double-action trigger pull was the smoothest of any production revolver of its era. The single action broke like glass. Then you had the look, the vented rib, the full underlug barrel, that long, clean silhouette. It is still the most recognizable revolver profile ever made. The Python is a 6-shot revolver, offered with barrel lengths from 2.5 inches to 8 inches. Vintage examples with factory-fitted lockwork can still shoot right alongside some of the best modern production guns. But this is where buyers need to slow down. The honest limitation on vintage examples is serviceability. A vintage Python needs a skilled revolver gunsmith. Parts availability for guns made before 1999 is a real issue. Do not let an inexperienced smith touch it. The modern Python, brought back in 2020, changed the internal geometry and improved strength. In some ways, it is mechanically more durable than the old gun. But the deep hand fitting of the original cannot be fully recreated at modern production volume. Vintage examples now sell from $2,500 to $6,000, and the prices are still climbing. The modern Python usually runs about $1,400 to $1,700 new. This is the premium craftsmanship pick. It is beautiful, accurate, historic, and expensive. But it only makes sense if you understand what you are buying and what it takes to own one properly. The mistake is buying a vintage Python like it is just another used revolver. It is not. You are buying condition, timing, lockwork, and the gunsmith problem that comes with it. After 70 years of calling it the greatest revolver ever made, the argument still is not settled. Number 2 is the Smith & Wesson Model 27. This is where the story starts. It needs to be said plainly. The Model 27 is the original .357 Magnum revolver. Every other gun on this list exists because of what happened in 1935, when Smith & Wesson introduced the registered Magnum. It was a custom-order revolver with barrel lengths in quarter-inch increments from 3.5 inches to 8.75 inches. You could order custom grips, triggers, hammers, sights, and finishes. Each revolver shipped with a certificate of authenticity. And even though it came out during the Great Depression at a premium price, Smith & Wesson still had a 4-year backlog. General George Patton carried one with ivory grips and called it his killing gun. FBI agents and lawmen carried them through a long stretch of the revolver era. Skeeter Skelton, one of the most respected revolver writers in American history, called the Model 27, with a 5-inch barrel, the best all-around handgun ever made. The end frame is the largest frame Smith & Wesson produces. It is heavy, smooth, and deliberate. This is not a lightweight carry revolver. This is a serious revolver for someone who wants history, strength, and a shooting experience that feels like a different era. For a modern buyer, the Model 27 is not about being the most practical choice on the shelf. It is about owning the origin point of the .357 Magnum. The checkering on the full top strap, down the barrel rib, and on the front sight ramp is a detail no other production revolver received. The current production Model 27 Classic costs around $1,100 to $1,300. Vintage examples range from about $800 for shooter-grade guns to several $1,000s for collector condition pinned barrel examples. One phrase captures it: the gun that invented the category, and still one of the finest ways to shoot it. Number 1 is the Manurhin MR73. Most lists put the Colt Python here. This list does not. Here is why. The Colt Python is a magnificent revolver, no question. But the Python was built as a premium, hand-fitted American revolver with beauty and trigger feel right at the front of the design. The Manurhin MR73 was built around institutional hard use. In 1972, the French gendarmerie needed a revolver for their counterterrorism unit, the GIGN. They needed a gun that could absorb 150 rounds of full-power .357 Magnum ammunition every single day in training, so they contracted Manurhin. During early testing, one example reportedly absorbed 170,000 full-power .357 Magnum rounds without dimensional change and without a failure. That is not normal gun counter mythology. That is the reputation this revolver was built on. Every component is forged from ordnance-certified steel. The barrel is cold hammer forged, forming the rifling during the forging process itself. The cylinder chambers are finished by an impact process that produces strong resistance to fouling. The factory proof fires every cylinder chamber at 30% above maximum allowable pressure, then certifies it against double that figure. The trigger is hand-fitted. Every MR73 requires more than 12 hours of hand assembly by trained gunsmiths. It leaves the factory only after firing a group of 20 millimeters or less at 25 meters from a machine rest. Any gun that does not meet that standard does not ship. The adjustable trigger system lets the shooter independently set double action weight, single action weight, and over travel. No other revolver on this list offers that. GIGN operators used the MR73 in live counterterrorism operations for decades. In 1994, during the Air France hijacking in Marseille, the lead GIGN operator neutralized 2 terrorists with his MR73 before a rifle was brought to bear. Beretta USA began importing the MR73 in 2021. As of early 2026, inventory is available through Beretta gallery dealers and select retailers. Current pricing usually lives around $3,200 to $4,200, depending on configuration and availability. Now here is the honest limitation. This is not a carry gun. It is not a budget decision. It is not a revolver for somebody trying to run 10,000 rounds a year at low cost. This is a precision instrument for serious collectors, competition shooters, and anyone who wants the most mechanically excellent production revolver ever made. One phrase says it best: the gun the French built when they wanted something tougher than the best American revolvers of the day. So here is the final list. Number 7, Dan Wesson Model 15 and Model 715, the overlooked accuracy king. Number 6, Ruger GP100, the tank. Number 5, Smith & Wesson Model 686, the modern benchmark. Number 4, Smith & Wesson Model 19, the revolver that got the balance right. Number 3, Colt Python, the most beautiful argument in revolver history. Number 2, Smith & Wesson Model 27, the gun that started the .357 Magnum story. And number 1, Manurhin MR73, the revolver built when durability mattered more than reputation. I know some Colt Python fans are going to argue with that. Good. That is what makes this cartridge and these revolvers so interesting. 90 years later, the .357 Magnum still gets shooters talking. So now I want to hear from you. If you have owned one of these revolvers for more than 5 years, what did real use teach you that the gun counter never did? That is the answer no spec sheet can give you.